We are the tribe from the north, we're brave and we're bold. Defeating our rivals never gets old. Making our way to the Big Sky Conference. Watch out, 'cause here comes the silver and gold. Whoa, whoa. This is Tubbs at the Club for the Vandals of Idaho.
Welcome back, Tribe from the North, brave and bold, to the unofficial podcast of your Idaho Vandals and your Vandal affiliate on the Big Sky Podcast Network. I am your host, Chris Hammond, and joined with me today, we have the Professor, Brian Marceau. How are you, Mr. Marceau?
I am as happy as I'm going to be about a D2 game to talk about, so hey, pretty happy.
Pretty happy for a D2 game, perfect.
Oh yeah.
We're also joined by Alex, the Boatman. How the heck are you, the best of all time?
You know, it's not flooding yet here in West Virginia, so we're all right. I'll stay afloat, I think.
And running the show from the shadows, we have producer Dammer. How the heck are you, Dammer?
I am fantastic. The best week of the year. No losses on the Idaho schedule. We can still dream about being undefeated.
And we plan on starting with a 1-0 record, but we will get into that because joining us today, we have the new color commentator for the Vandal football broadcasts, Trent Buck Cowan. How are you, Trent?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
I know. We're excited to have you on and kind of hear you call the game this Saturday. I know you were probably really excited for the first matchup to be Simon Fraser, but it's still probably nerve-wracking nonetheless. But so let's roll into this, everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, it's great practice because hopefully a lot of the players get in. You know, so I'm saying a lot of names out there. It's good practice.
It's true. How many flashcards do you have to like burn through every night? Are you just like flipping through every night, like gotta nail 20 pronunciations before I go to bed?
No, I'm practicing. I'm on the web. I'm doing my best. So fingers crossed.
But wait, Buckman just broke in some news. Do announcers consider Simon Fraser a tune-up as well?
I think that's a professional no comment.
No, but I mean, I've been doing a lot of research. I've been doing a lot of research on Simon Fraser, so we'll see what happens. But I'm hoping for a Vandal victory, obviously, and we'll see what happens. Hey, you got to play the game first, that's for sure.
That's true. Can't sleep on them. Well, with that, let's open the bar. Brought to you by Hughes River Expedition, and pull some taps. I mean, there's no better question, I think. Quarterbacks to watch. We're going to have to deal with this for up to 4 to 5 weeks. But let's see, like, what do you want to see out of every quarterback in this game? Brian?
Well, first, I want to make sure the quarterbacks get out uninjured. That should be like a brain dead thing and not something we're that concerned about with D2. But just because both CJ and Mike have had injuries, that we've seen, fingers crossed there. But I think against a team like Simon Fraser, out of CJ, out of Beaudry, and also we know Zach Borsch is going to play too. I want to see us be aggressive offensively. And if that means both CJ and Mike getting shots to stretch the field a little more than we saw in the spring, that's something I want to see. I also hope that, Zach Borsch, we know he's going to be playing. We know he has a package that we expect to see against D1 teams. I want to see the guy throw the ball a little bit when there's not 25-mile-an-hour winds. I really expect that it's going to be Mike or CJ as, the guy taking most of the snaps. But, Alex brought it up last week. Borsch, if he plays regularly through the season, he's probably going to see the second most snaps of any guy quarterback. So I want to see him throw the ball, and I want to see us get over 40 damn points.
That'd be good. That'd be a good way to start the year for sure. And I mean, we've shown that against these D2 teams. That's where we kind of sit about in our point total. I'm going to use one word for each quarterback to kind of see what I want to see. For Borish, I want to see efficiency. He's not going to get a lot of reps right overall, but so he's going to have to maximize his time out there and be efficient with his reps. For Beaudry, I want to see consistency. Okay. Let's see. We didn't see him be really consistent last year. We saw a lot of up and down, right? He's on or he's off. Let's see some consistency. For CJ, let's see some excitement, right? I think he's going to be the game changer if he does when he does play. He's not, what we've seen at quarterback for Idaho the last and since kind of Chad Chalich-ish, right? There's some exciting plays. Things are going to happen. He's going to make people get off their feet. I know, Brian, you and I were off our feet when he was playing against Southern Utah. We were sitting right there with each other, you, me, and Dallas. And so I want to see efficiency from Borish, consistency from Beaudry, and some excitement out of CJ. If we get that, we're all going to be winners at the end of the day because that means all guys played pretty well. Trent.
Yeah, I think you want to see the quarterbacks be accurate, be able to move the ball down the field, not miss on any throws. You mentioned efficiency, being consistent. I think this is a game where you want to see the quarterbacks play really well. Hopefully, in the second half, we can rotate some guys in, get some new guys out there. But, you want CJ and Mike to do well and really take command of the offense and move the ball down the field at will, hopefully. That's what you want to see out of these guys.
Yeah, and for me to round it out here, what I'm looking for out of Beaudry is that step forward. Does he look comfortable? Because at times we saw flashes of what we thought he was going to be. Big body quarterback that's able to stand in the pocket and sling the ball around. A little bit more of your pocket passer type, but he was kind of like a Colton Richardson where like he had that cannon, struggled a little bit with the accuracy, but also surprising athletics. Like you would see Colton Richardson go on a couple of those runs where you're like, is he really going to think about running this? And he did. And actually like surprised the defense with how athletic and quick he really was, able to kind of shift to pick up yards with his feet. Beaudry showed a lot of that kind of at the end there, the NAU game, and you saw it a little bit against Eastern Washington, but more in the last couple games. I want to see more of that. I want to see if, now that he's transferred, he's been in for a year. If he starts to feel more comfortable, those feet stay a little bit calmer in the pocket, and we can kind of see what we thought Beaudry was going to be. Out of CJ Jordan, I just want to see that he's healthy. I want to see, we kind of talked about it last spring. He was coming off an injury out of high school. We probably took him out more of as a precaution last year just because it was like, all right, we knew he had an injury history, and he is most likely our future at quarterback. I think we saw where the spring season was going, and we're kind of like, all right, we're going to roll with what we have. And if we can we saw enough out of CJ, bench him, put him on the bench, ice him. Let's get this guy ready for fall. He's ready for fall. I want to see how he looks. If he's still electric, he's still got that speed. From everything you've seen in the summer from him on Twitter, I mean, he's been working his tail off to get back in shape. And I think by the end of his career, he's going to be absolutely something special. I've been saying it since day one when we brought him in recruiting. I was on the train of red shirt, used the 4 games, all last season, try to get him like 10 games under his belt before he takes over the helm in 2022. He's now my leader in the clubhouse to kind of lead this team into 2021. So I kind of want to see that fire out of him. I want to see him separate from Beaudry and the rest of the competition. And then for Borish, we know he can run. We know he's electric. We know he's a team leader. I'm with what everybody else said. I hate to be just the echo chamber here, but you know what, Paul, like, let's dial it up here. Throw the ball. Like, that's the big question with Borish is people want to see him throw the ball. Everybody knows he can run. Everybody knows he's electric, and everybody knows he's a great team leader. Let us see him throw it. And you know what? Maybe he's not the best thrower out of those two, but like, let's find out what his ceiling throwing the ball is. And that's what I want to see. We know he can run. I would like us to lean more on a pass heavy kind of situation with him just to really see what his boundaries, limitations, ceiling, floor are as a passing quarterback. Cause we already know he'll succeed if he has to tuck it and run. Marcel, what's your tap?
Well, we've touched the offense a decent amount. I think the big question Idaho has is we know the secondary is a question overall for the season, but What kind of effort defensively, Alex, do you think it's important for us to see? Because, these D2 games, look, dominating doesn't necessarily tell us anything because we should dominate. But if we look underwhelming against a D2 team, that probably does tell us something. So I guess, Alex, what are you hoping to see defensively when Idaho lines up opposite the Clan?
Yeah, I think it's going to be something that maybe not the casual fan normally would see. No MAs, no missed assignments, right? Your goals of defense every time is to know your job and do your job. So we come out with this game with pretty clean grades for all of our starters. That's what you can hope for, right? I guess we're calling this a tune-up game, but if we come out of this with no missed assignments or very few missed assignments, that's a win for the defense. It shows they understand the scheme well and they know their job. So hopefully that can get them ready for the bigger games coming up, our 2 FBS games, and then conference play. And then, I want to see Charles Econo beat Charles Econo. In the spring, I don't think we really saw him beat Chuck. And so it just didn't look right. And so I really want to see Chuck make some really explosive plays off the edge, right? Also, how do we finally replace an Ellis at linebacker? Let's see how that rolls, because this is our first time not having an Ellis at linebacker since 2015. So let's see how that goes as well. And to kind of finish it off, Trent last played for Idaho in 2016. There's only 2 guys still left on this team that Trent played with, in Rasan and Chuck. So let's see how our leadership takes over on that side. Those are the old guys in the room now. They were the young guys when Trent was last there. So let's see how those old guys handle the young guys and keep everyone in line and get them ready to play some ball. Trent, what do you think? Trent with the rookie mistake on mute.
I'm looking for the front 7 to be dominant. I'm looking for that front 7. People talk about that being one of the top front 7s in the Big Sky. I want them to be dominant. Simon Fraser gave up 47 sacks, and that the last time they played the 2019 season, they only played a 10-game schedule. They're giving up about 4.7 sacks a game, almost 5 sacks. You look for that, the pressure. We really shouldn't have to blitz too much to get to that quarterback. So like you mentioned, Alex, Chuck being Chuck, and really that front 7 being dominant. And then on the secondary side, Simon Fraser, they were able to pass the ball a little bit. That's how they kind of got up and down the field. They only rushed for about 55 yards a game. In 2019, they could not rush the ball, but they were able to chuck it a little bit. So I think from a secondary standpoint, you're looking to keep everything in front of you, right? No MAs, no missed assignments, balls over the secondary's head, none of that against an opponent like Simon Fraser. Look for Simon Fraser to try to exploit the Vandal defense via the quick game. Like I said, they've struggled running the ball, and they're not going to be able, on paper, they shouldn't be able to get in their 5-step, 7-step protection, and, be able to chuck the ball around. So look for them to kind of dink and dunk, and really for the Vandals to rally to the ball and game tackle.
Nice, Chris.
Chris is muted.
Also on mute. We're doing this. We're starting off hot.
It's still week 1. For me, it's kind of simple. I'm looking for the secondary. We brought in a lot of pieces. We brought in one of our highest recruits of all time is J. Duncan. And you kind of look at the secondary. It's a lot of familiar faces. You got both at free safety on the 2 deep, Tommy McCormick and Jackson Woodward. 2 of the guys I thought played relatively, one of surprisingly well in the spring. Not surprising in terms of we didn't expect them to do well, but actually kind of went out of their way to both stand out a little bit more than I think people were expecting heading in the spring. Strong safety. You got Tyrese Dedman, a little bit less of a, surprise. Speaking of, he's a team, I think he's going to be a team captain again. I know he was in the spring. But then, we bring in Arnell Walker. He's listed behind Sean McCormick. Then you still have Jalen Hoover, who's ahead of Awan Parker, who we heard was supposed to be the guy and probably get a starting job. And then kind of the one surprise is you get Marcus Harris, over Josh Jones, who is the guy we brought in from like UTSA or UTEP last year or something down in Texas. And then you have Marcus Harris, who's, I believe, a true freshman, a redshirt freshman. So you kind of have a 2 to 3 new guys that'll probably be contributing, but we kind of brought in a lot of DB help. And to see kind of that same crew out there that has had its fair share of struggles, I think it's fair to say, the past couple seasons. I guess we're hoping on maybe a little bit of maturity, a little bit more experience, the spring getting more reps under these guys' belts. Guys, especially like McCormick and Woodward, who kind of looked pretty good in the spring. But I would say I'm a little bit shocked by that. And then otherwise, you nailed it. Like, do we think Trey is the best linebacker in the league? Yes. But he's going to be a little bit on an island this year. He's around, I mean, he's still got Fave, he's still got Chuck, but like not having that, that battering ram mate there of Christian Ellis, he's going to have to a little bit more weight on his shoulders. Not to say that Hatton isn't capable, but it's just going to be a little bit more, and then kind of the shock too. You look at this 2 deep, you got Dalton Cash, who was, I believe, a tight end, listed as our 2 at Jack. So kind of cool to see Petrino doing that. I know we saw a little bit of Logan Kendall taking some snaps on defense too. So, I mean, he's got a guy in the NFL for switching positions. So it kind of works for him. He's able to tell it. I mean, we saw Caden Ellis play a little bit of tight end back in the day. So like Paul likes to play around with lineups and guys playing both ways. So that will be kind of interesting to see on the defense. We got what looks like 2 offensive guys that might get a little bit of a run on the defensive side of the ball. Brian?
Yeah, my focus is I agree with what Trent said. Front 7 should look dominant. I mean, against the Big Sky in the spring, we had the best rush defense. I just don't think Simon Fraser should be able to compete with what we have on our linebackers. I really just have my focus defensively on how our secondary looks, because our secondary was atrocious last in the spring. Minus Cal Poly, worst secondary in the entire league easily. Gave up 9 yards per pass. Now, Simon Fraser should be close to as good as other Big Sky teams in terms of passing the ball. But if we're going to have a prayer of our secondary being, better or making a developmental leap, they've got to be able to look at least solid against a team like Simon Fraser. So for me, I am curious about how, Chris, you went through a good amount of the 2 deep, where, we have Jalen Hoover coming back. We have Marcus Harris, another cornerback. Tyrese Dedman's back. And like I said, Tommy McCormick, all those guys in the secondary. I'm really hoping we have some of those guys show us something that can let us feel like, all right, well, once we get to UC Davis, this is where the defensive turnaround is going to start.
Awesome. I think the next tap that I'm going to pull is, what do you think this game means for Idaho? I don't want to get into my take too much before I pass off to Trent, but we only played 4 months ago. We kind of have an interesting schedule. Trent, what do you think this game means for the Vandals to start off the season?
Yeah, I think it's a game to build confidence, right? You're playing at home. You got the fans are back, right? More fans. I think it was limited capacity for the spring. So you're playing in front of more eyeballs. It's, we're playing in the fall, right? It's about as close to normal as a season can be, given the circumstances. So, you want the guys to come out on fire. If we're starting out on defense, let's go get a 3 and out. If we're starting on offense, let's go down the field and score right away. You want to show that dominance that we're going to be a force in the Big Sky this year. And I know that we're playing a Division II opponent, but you got to play who's on your schedule. So you got to come out and prepare like it's any other week, just like you and I, did, Alex, when we played together. So I'm excited to watch the guys play. I'm excited to see the new faces on the team. We got some new guys and seeing them against another opponent for the first time. So seeing how they play and execute and, look for that performance that we're all hoping for.
For me, it's kind of a look into the future, right? I know we've kind of struggled here since rejoining the FCS of like putting teams away early that we should be looking at Western New Mexico State, Central Washington, but we do. And I don't think this one will be any different. Yeah, maybe Simon Fraser hangs in around for a little bit, but probably a little bit less so this year because we're just not going to have the same amount of rust. In fact, I believe everybody but Jackson's supposed to be back that maybe got dinged up in the spring. So we just got so many young pieces. Like this is a game where like I expect us to see a little bit of the future, more so than Indiana and Oregon State. I think you're going to get to see a lot of running from Elijah Cummings. I think you're going to get to see a lot of play from CJ Jordan. I think you're going to get to see a lot of these younger wide receivers, maybe some of these younger DBs, even some of these younger linebackers. We've talked about like, yeah, we've had a really good front seven. We're officially at that point where this is the last season for a couple of those guys. Like we kind of have Noah Ellis coming back, and I believe Nate DeGraw, but like for the most part, like Coyote's going to be gone. Jonah Kim's going to be gone. So you're kind of Rashawn's going to be gone. So you're going to have this turnover. So like it's now or never to get some of those next guys, those reps, because in 2022, I think our schedule's set up a little bit better for us to maybe make a push. We'll probably have CJ Jordan regardless under home at that point. So 2022 is going to be a lot of these guys that we might see today, and then you won't see as much throughout the season because, you know, we got to win now. It's no surprise there. So we're going to use a lot of these veterans and a lot of these seniors and juniors that we have on the team, but we have a lot of position turnover coming via, you know, here real soon. And I think you'll be curious, Paul being the cagey guy he is. We've heard a lot about like Therese Trainer and Stevenson, these new wide receivers we brought in. I wouldn't expect, you know, them to be out early, maybe get a little bit of those reps in, but Paul's going to save them for big sky play, and he's going to throw out like Hogan Hatton and Kurchero Haywood that people have seen, and then kind of switch to those younger guys again. So I expect you to see a lot of Vandals you might not see the rest of the year. But that being said, we have to pull away for that to happen. So it's just going to be at what point we kind of put the foot to the throat, as it were, to the football team of Simon Fraser and get that opportunity to showcase some of our youth.
This game to me is based off our schedule, based off where we have 2 body bag games following this. We then have our bye week, first week of Big Sky season, then a road game against a pretty solid Big Sky team. This game, I think not only it's we have to win this, but I think Idaho needs to generate some enthusiasm with a big win, because our opening schedule is pretty dang rough until October right now. So I think it's really important for Idaho to give the fan base and the people actually inside the dome reason to be excited that might carry us through a few of these rough weeks, so that the story of fans isn't, yeah, like, sure, we beat a D2 team, but we didn't look that great. Then we, looked awful against Power 5 teams. Then, real season opens for us week 2 on the road against UC Davis. I think it's pretty important for Idaho to give the type of showing that people like us and just the fans who are still tuning in reason to believe, okay, this Idaho team has something. The maybe fringe playoffs is still on the table. That discussion is feasible after a game like a team like Simon Fraser, if we just curb stomp them to give Vandals something to talk about on the way to the club for the rest of the night.
Hey, that's the best place to be post game, So, what I'm looking for out of this game is consistency. I think, we want to see some things. We only played a game 4 months ago. It's really crazy, right? Like, we saw this team 4 months ago. Well, 5 months ago, last time in the Dome against Southern Utah. We saw some ups and downs. Football is a game of ups and downs, but I'd like to see us just put the throttle down early and keep it there, and then just kind of coast to the win. That's pretty optimistic, I guess. But Chris, you kind of talked about these young guys, and I was thinking about it. Last year was a throwaway year for everyone in regards of eligibility. We're back to normal eligibility rules. So for those of you who haven't remembered, guys can play 4 games now and still keep a red shirt. So let's see if we see some guys. This is going to be a perfect type of game for those guys to play and keep a red shirt. So, theoretically, like, CJ Jordan, something weird happens. This is one of the games he plays. He might, let's say he only plays 4 games. He can still be a freshman again in 2022. Okay. So keep that in your mind for this game. So love to see the young guys get out there, but I like to see us take care of business because our schedule is kind of weirdly predetermined. We have this D2 game. They are their body bag game, like coming to Moscow. Then we have to go to Indiana, who's a top 20 team. We have to go to Resurgence Oregon State, who's projected about 5 wins this year. The week after that, then we have a bye week, and then we don't get to play. We don't get to play probably like an actual meaningful game until October, and they're not back on the Palouse, guys, until till the second week of October, homecoming. So think about this. We have this game this week. Our next home game isn't until homecoming, October 9th. So Vandal fans, get to the Dome and enjoy this one. I don't want to hear you complain about how nice the weather is outside, because come October and come homecoming, you're going to be happy to be in the Dome and happy you're not across the border in Pullman freezing your ass off. Okay. It's always 72 and sunny in the Dome. And I don't care what time of year it is. Get out to the Dome, support the Vandals. They need it, guys. They need the support. I know everyone listening here will probably try to make the game because you care enough to listen to us. Bring a friend, tell a friend, bring a kid, bring a cousin, bring someone, fill the Dome up, show the team they need the support because, they've been dealing with a lot, having to play only 5 months before this. Trent, what do you think a next tap is you might want to pull and keep us moving on here?
What was that, Alex? You cut off real quick. Sorry.
Yeah. So, finish talking about that. What do you think a next tap might be you want to talk about here? We gotta list it out here.
Yeah, I mean, kind of previewing Simon Fraser a little bit. I did a little background digging on those, watched a couple of games from, they didn't play in 2020. They played in their last season is 2019. They did play a Big Sky opponent in Portland State. They lost 70-7. So again, the current coach is actually an interim coach, head coach. He was on the staff there at Simon Fraser. He was their recruiting coordinator, special teams coach, wide receiver coach. And he got the interim tag in March of 2020, right when the coronavirus pandemic started. So was looking at kind of their team in 2019, watching film. Obviously, take it with a grain of salt. A lot of things can change from then to now. But offensively, they're going to be spread. They're going to be a 4 wide receiver set. They're going to have a tight end, so either 4 receivers or 3 wide receivers and a tight end. They're going to be in I've only seen them in shotgun. So unless something changes, expect for them to come out of shotgun, pistol, also with the running back to the side of the quarterback. If I'm Simon Fraser, if I'm their OC, their head coach also calls the plays, I'm going to look to go quick game against us because I don't think they're going to have enough time to sit back there and drop back and pass. And they really struggled running the ball. And their leading rusher from 2019 actually transferred to Whitworth. So look for them to try to do something there. And then defensively for Simon Fraser, they're going to be in a 4-2 most of the game. If we go, 4 wide receivers are empty, they may go to a 4-1 box. They play cover 3, cover 1, man with a deep high safety. They do have a first team GNAC linebacker. I believe his name was Griffin Barrett. So he was first team. He comes back. He's number 33. And then they do have a really impressive corner. He was the GNAC freshman of the year, Jarrell Cummings. He's number 8, 5'10", 185. He was second team all league. The biggest thing that stood out to me was 17 pass breakups in a 10-game season. Very impressive. So look for us to challenge him, but he'll be somebody that if we can get past, we should feel good about. So I'm excited to see the guys play, but that's a little background about Simon Fraser and their team this year.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as far as Simon Fraser goes, for me, I guess I'm just going to be looking to see really how their offense goes. You mentioned it out of shotgun. You're going to see a little bit more of those quick sets, probably a little bit more of a pass-heavy offense. But, we've seen that could be different, especially when they're trying to break in new running backs. It's going to be a really good test of our DBs. Their quarterback, I believe, the one I was just looking at, Brandon Nikshish, he's played in 9 games, threw the ball 281 times, has a 1-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Averages 214 yards a game. So quarterback like that, at least the last 2 years against Idaho, traditionally could put up, a scary amount of a stat line against us. So how well can this secondary do? Are we going to see a little – you should be able to take maybe a little bit more away from this game than you would a normal D2 game just by probably the pass heaviness that this team's going to use compared to our, typical lackluster pass defense. So it's kind of a good test of where this secondary, which is what I was looking for defensively, is going to be. Brian?
Yeah, Trent, I have 2 rapid kind of questions for you. The first is, when people see you at the club, you just told us you watched, how many Simon Fraser games did you watch as prep? Can you say that number again?
I watched a couple. I watched their game against Dixie State. I watched their game against Azusa Pacific. There's not a lot out there.
How many drinks do people owe you for digging through those Simon Fraser games?
No, that's my job. That's what I got to do. I'm excited. I'm a football guy. I love watching football. So this is perfect for me. I'll watch any game, Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA. So I get pleasure out of it. But yeah, it was fun to find a few games and kind of see what they're about, right? You got to learn about the opponent.
Okay, I accept that diplomatic answer, and I'm going to answer for you. There's 4 quarters in the game. You said you watched 2 full games. Listeners, we owe Trent 8 drinks. So at some point, we need to pay up if he's going to work through Simon Fraser games. But now the actual question I got for you, actually that last one wasn't an actual question, but the other question I got for you is, I'm sure you're like us in that you expect Idaho should look comfortable in this game, especially the reference point of 70-7 against Portland State. If Simon Fraser looks good against Idaho, whether that's a win or whether that's a loss for Idaho or just a competitive football game for 1 quarter or 4 quarters, what is going to go right for Simon Fraser and what would have to go wrong for Idaho for the Clan to look tough against Idaho?
I think the biggest thing that stands out for Simon Fraser to have success, for them to win, for it to be a close game, I think the first thing you got to look at is turnover margin. I think realistically the only way that happens is Simon Fraser's +2, +3. We're not taking care of the football. We're turning it over. We're not. We're turning it over in the red zone. I think that kind of stands out first and foremost. Not taking care of the football. Second, penalties, staying in front of the chains, because I hope that we're able, if we need 5 yards, run the football, get 5 yards. We should be able to do that. It can get a little bit sticky, even against a Division II, whatever you want to call, Simon Fraser. In any football game, it can get sticky when you're 3rd and long. So don't have the negative plays, so to speak. Don't turn the ball over and play a clean game in special teams. They've struggled in the special teams category. Obviously, Cade isn't with the Vandals anymore. So you want to see, that's one thing that I'm excited to see, is the special teams play. We got some new guys out there. Prescott has been with the program, so it'll be fun to see him kick some extra points, maybe some field goals, kickoffs. We see what he can do in kickoffs, but play clean games, special teams wise. Stay ahead of the sticks, limit penalties, and really, don't be sloppy with the football.
Yeah, I think turnover margin, anytime you have a, not necessarily a David versus Goliath situation, but it's kind of what it is, right? In this sense, you got to take care of the football. And then I love how you brought up special teams, Trent, because I think big plays in special teams, especially first game of the year, things can get sloppy, right? And I know you remember when we went down to Auburn in 2015, we were down 14-10 and Auburn ran a fake punt, right? Big play in special teams, completely changed the course of the game, right? We were only down 14-10. They were punting the ball back to us. They run a fake punt, go 21-10, and changes the game. So big plays in special teams. Don't be surprised if you see Simon Fraser try to fake a punt this game, guys. Like, this is their big game of the year in terms of they haven't played since 2019. It's a D1 opponent. Look for them to try to fake a punt. And I guess kind of a question to you, Trent. How tough is it for this coaching staff and these players to go find film on these guys, right? I mean, their best reference point is from 2019. Meanwhile, Simon Fraser can go watch film on us from 5 months ago. They have a better idea of what we're going to do than maybe than what they are going to do. So how tough is that for the coaching staff? I know Coach Petrino doesn't leave any stone unturned in film, but how tough is that, maybe for some changes and turnover in coaching staff and then younger guys who haven't played that much to go find film and prep for this game?
Yeah, a lot of what they'll do, the coaches, is when you have like looking at the defensive coordinator, the head coach is the offensive coordinator. So a lot of times if they have, new coaches to the staff, they'll look up film from what they did from their previous stops. So they'll dig up old film from, coaching staffs that they're at previously. They'll find film from obviously the 2019 season, Simon Fraser. So they'll find a way. Obviously things can change. A lot can change. They can come out in a completely different offense, completely different defensive scheme. But at the end of the day, you do hope that our athletes are bigger, faster, stronger, and will play like it. So to answer your question, they'll find some film out there, but you just never know. It's with a grain of salt because they've had turnover. They haven't played since 2019. We'll see when it comes Saturday.
All right, and then I've kind of got another tap I'd like to pull here. Who is a player one player, I'm going to try to limit us to one, a player maybe slightly under the radar that you guys think people should keep an eye on in this game? Brian?
So I'm going to choose not quarterback because we've exhausted quarterback a bit. I want to see how the new receivers look. Therese Trainer, Makai Stevenson. I mean, we already know about Hayden Hatton was one of the top receivers in the Big Sky last season. Catrell Haywood has been solid for. Is this his fifth season playing that we'll have seen him, or is this fourth season? Anyway, whatever. Haywood's been solid since day one. We know we have fifth season, guys. We know we have a pretty good idea we're going to get out of Haywood, but Paul Petrino told us at media days he was pretty excited about new receivers, and I know people who saw the spring game. Guys like Martin from our show said, Trainer and Stevenson look different than what we've had for last season. So wide receiver specifically is a position group, and it's of the two big names we've heard that I've referenced now like 4 times, Therese Trainer, Makai Stevenson. Which of those two looks like they might be a difference maker or, fingers crossed for sunshines and rainbows like our man Martin again, maybe both.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it on the offense side of the ball, which I know is not changing it up too much, but Elijah Cummings, running back, okay? If you go look at the depth chart, he's listed as 2 ahead of Nick Romano. It says Elijah Cummings or Nick Romano, but I think that speaks volumes to the fact that this young guy came in June, right? Old guys didn't come back until after the 4th. Young guys came in middle of June, had their 3-4 weeks prior to the 4th that normally everyone on the team experiences, but changed it up this year due to playing in the spring. This guy came in June and is already ahead of Nick Romano, who we all know is one of our more explosive players on offense and has been for the last few years. So I think that speaks volumes. Not bad on Nick. I think it speaks more volumes to how the coaching staff views this guy. I think he's one to watch for sure, especially in a game like this where redshirt does not matter. And we're going to see guys who could get redshirted. So keep an eye on him. Let's see how much he adds to the offense. Trent?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like you guys said, I want to see the wide receivers. I'm really excited to see Therese Trainer. I mean, I've heard a lot of good things about him. He looks good. I mean, I think 6'3", 6'4", a little over 210 pounds, transfer from Western Kentucky. He passes the eyeball test for sure. I also am very interested at the tackle position. I know they're really high on Seth Carnahan. That's somebody that they're going to really bank on to help lead, along with Logan Floyd, lead that offensive line unit. And then somebody that I kind of just recently heard about, Abe Christensen, a transfer from NC State. I know I read it was out on the media that he may have gotten dinged up. Hopefully he's okay and can play. But really excited to see what he can do on the offensive line, because we can have the best running backs, best quarterback, best wide receiver. We can have all the best skill players, but if we can't protect, we're not going to move the ball. So really excited to see the tackle positions, this Saturday.
I mean, for me, this is a slam dunk, and I'm surprised it got to me. I feel like when this team is at its best, we have a stable of tight ends at our disposal. You go back to the Eddie Williams years, Daniel Hardy years. Obviously, we have one on the show with us today in Buck Cowan. You also had Deion Watson, and Connor Whitney is doing that job. But can Jake Cox be the next guy? He's a true freshman, thanks to last season, 6'3", 230 pounds. Is this, Connor Whitney? Yeah, we still get another year out of him, but is this the next stable guy, or are we gonna have to bring in another tight end this year in the recruiting class, or a JUCO guy? Because this team does well when we have a good tight end, and I want to see if Jake Cox is the next one in a solid stable of tight ends, really for the past decade or so for the Vandals.
You should just rope in Logan Kendall and Trace Latrixia into that group too, because those two are mountains of men that are going to be terrorizing Big Sky opponents.
Yeah, it's funny they're listed as fullbacks, but they definitely have some pass catching ability out of the line of scrimmage. But yeah, so for me, I want to see Jake Cox. I believe his dad's a coach, so he's kind of got that pedigree Petrino likes. I just want to see. I mean, I love Connor Whitney. This is not like I'm looking for the guy to replace Connor Whitney. It's more like when Connor Whitney moves away, is he going to be the guy? Because my next up, if it wasn't going to be him, was obviously Derek Tomasini. He's listed behind Trey Walker on the depth chart, somebody that Paul seems to rave about. But I went with, Jake Cox, because I feel like we've got Trey. It's not worth even talking about replacing Trey yet. He's only a junior. He's probably going to leave because the free year. But, Jake Cox, I just want to see it. Brian, you have another tap?
Well, we're time for score predictions.
Is that what we want to roll into? I'm in. Let's do it. I'm going to go last, though. How about that? I like to be sneaky. So,
okay, score prediction. I'm basing this off of the 70-7 reference point that Trent was kind enough to remind us about. Idaho 45-14.
Brian, you just read my mind. I don't know. That's literally what I was thinking about. I was going to go 42-14. I was like, I'll give us a field goal. So now I'll give us 48-14 because he just took that from me.
2 field goals, or are we going to miss a 2-point conversion? We're not missing an extra point.
Obviously not missing an extra point unless it's that weird end of the Kibby Dome that Eastern fans still hate. No, but 2 field goals. 2 field goals. Trent?
Am I allowed to give a score prediction? How does that work?
Idaho.
I guess good point.
Idaho is you. I guess Idaho's your employer. You're not like a neutral third party here.
I'm rooting for the Vandals a lot. Simon Fraser a little. That's my
fair.
What if you were to grade mine and Alex's score predictions? You're not giving one. You're grading was this feasible?
I would give it a B+.
All right. Well, then, see, for a second, Brian, you scared me. Look, I think going into halftime, this game is like 21-10. I think this game ends closer to 80-10. I'm going to be honest, 2009, dude, we're talking about 2019 Portland State. That was a bad football team. Yes, I know they skunked us 24-0 in probably the most boring game I can ever recall watching as a Vandal. But that 2019 team was not good. I have a hunch Beaudry's probably going to come out first one, and I think most of us on this pod are leaning towards CJ Jordan as being the more electric guy. I mean, I could see Jordan easily putting up 60 points in the second half. I don't know. We've beaten Western New Mexico by like 50 to something, and I don't remember what the Central game was, but like, I don't know. We've put up high scores before. When we were in the FBS, we beat North Dakota like 50-0 one year. Like, yeah, it's been a while since Vandals have seen us on that, but I mean, we've had Penn State skunk us, and we've had Fresno State do it to us. It's time for us to do it to somebody else and really build a little bit of momentum going into the Big Sky season, even though most of it's going to get ruined because we have Indiana and Oregon State next. But I'm expecting this at least 70. I would take some beer bets for the corner club that we hit a 7-0 on the scoreboard. And I call it a homer pick. I don't think I've ever picked us to score over like 45 points ever on the show. So it's not, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid, but I see high scores for Idaho, especially with these wide receivers we have coming in. So it's just really going to come down to the defense, I think, which I have the utmost faith in. Brian just the whole time was like staring at me like, are you okay?
We did score 41 against Central in 2019. We also gave up 31. That was.
But Central is a way better team.
Oh, of course, Central's way better. I'm just saying we need to not have a game that's in question against D2, especially Simon Fraser.
Yeah. All right. Well, so that's closing up the bar. So next up, we're going to roll into Getting Iced. So Trent, I don't think we did this with you last time you were on the show because it's part of like a weird special we were doing. But we're going to do our quick ad read. So we're going to give you time to think about it. I know this wasn't so much an interview, but you did get some questions directed your way. So this is your chance to get it back. You get to ice us. Any question you want, it can be sports related or not. We have to answer it. So we'll give you some time to think about it. But we want to thank Hughes River Expeditions. If you're looking for a great all-inclusive week-long vacation, don't look past your backyard. Venture into the largest protected wilderness in the continental United States, located right here in the great state of Idaho. Enjoy a multi-day trip down the Middle Fork of the Salmon, the main Salmon River of No Return, Salmon River Canyons, or the Selway. You can even check out special trips like ones to see the Perside meteor shower. Camp on pristine beaches. Check out camp on pristine beaches, run on amazing whitewater, hike scenic trails, spot wildlife, and soak in beautiful natural hot springs, and take in history all along the river's edge. And you also get to fish some of the most remote stretches of river in the entire country. You just bring your clothes and let Hughes River handle the rest. Hughes River Expeditions has been Vandal owned and operated since 1976 and ready to take you on the vacation of a lifetime. What are you waiting for? Find out what it's like to grab a paddle, catch dinner, and ride the bull all throughout the Gem State. Call them now at 800-262-1882 or check them out at hughesriver.com. All right, Trent, Buck, Cowan, what do you got for us?
I am, as a former teammate of mine, I am interested about Alex Boatman and his new role at West Virginia. So I'm interested. I want to learn more about what you are doing over there, and if it's everything you thought it would be.
Yeah, so I started a new role as a development specialist at West Virginia, and for all you who follow college athletics, development is a fancy word for fundraising. So Idaho's version of that is the Vandal Scholarship Fund. Please go donate today to VSF. If you're also looking for throw a few tax-deductible dollars my way, give me a call. I can help you out that way if you want to support the Mountaineers in our quest to conquer the Big 12. But I started out here in August. I solicit gifts from people all in the philanthropic area, not seat related. So I spend my day calling Mountaineer fans and alum throughout the country who have supported so far and solicit some gifts. Got a few $1,000s in so far and, hoping to get a few more. So, I spend my day on the phones, but I enjoy it. Good people out here. It reminds me of a bigger version of Pullman, if that kind of gives you guys some reference in your head. Just a big college town, a lot of hills. We are the Mountaineers, obviously. But I do work for Learfield IMG, technically in the third party. So Learfield handles Idaho Vandal's sports properties and corporate sponsorships, but they also do ticket solutions at a lot of schools. That's who I technically work for. So I spend my day with a bunch of ticket account executives, but good people. good company. I'm enjoying it out here. You know, we got Maryland this weekend. Big game, really big game. Fans are going crazy for it. And then we play the Long Island Sharks next weekend. So that is going to be a massive blowout because they think have not won a game in the FCS or won 1 or 2 since they came in 2019. So I enjoy it, but I do miss the Northwest. I do miss Idaho, and I definitely will be there for homecoming, Trent. I've got it marked in my calendar. We're away that weekend, and I'll be there for sure. Buy my plane ticket. Got an Airbnb in Moscow already, like 3 blocks north of the club. Prime location. And, of course, there are Boatman burgers happening all year, Trent. After the game, go out to the tailgate. You know where my parents are at. Go get a burger. You know my dad's always cooking them up. Same spot, same thing. Nothing changes.
Are you both employees of Learfield? Did we just connect that dot? Because Trent, is your technical employer?
I'm 1099.
Okay. Never mind.
Yeah, it is the same, but I'm at 1099.
Yeah. Okay.
But Boatman's a W-2, I believe.
Full-fledged.
Full-fledged text and everything. All right. So that is it. We're going to go on to watching the TV, which is basically just picking the Big Sky. Right now we're at nice, cool 0-0 record. And we're going to roll through these and make picks. Trent, if you can make picks on other teams, you are welcome to. Otherwise, we'll skip you.
Well, we're going to round us all up to 1-0 because we all picked Southern Utah to lose against San Jose State, right?
Do we actually even include? Yeah. Well, I feel like motion here on the show. F Southern Utah. I don't think we pick any of their games except the one they play against us. They're leaving. Screw them.
I mean, they're still with us for now. It's like
I just said this on Big Sky Big Takes. I'll take Lockeye, Kaho, Ohano, Davis. The rest of their team can go to the WAC now. See ya. Toodaloo.
I guess one less team to pick every week, but we still are going to pick them in Big Sky play because we have other games. They're playing Big Sky teams.
Yeah,
so we're going to run to that problem. So I mean.
We have to pad our scores when Southern Utah loses to Montana States and the Weber States.
True.
1-0 to all of us. Great.
Hey, 1 minute and 14 seconds for being undefeated. Anyways, moving on to the actual pick'ems. Weber State at the University of Utah Utes. This one's real tough for me. Battle in the Beehive State, but let's be honest, Weber State's good. University of Utah is a shit ton better. Utes big.
Oh, yeah, University of Utah should win this going home. I will say the storyline to maybe catch your eye for a few seconds is everyone thinks that Jay Hill is holding out for the University of Utah job at some point.
I'll follow up with that. Utah is never firing Kyle Whittingham because he is that program, and he is the reason that they are probably going to Pac-12 South this year. So Utes, big.
Trent, are you able to pick? Or are you staying out of these?
I'll just say what I think of each team. Utah, I think, is going to be strong in the Pac-12, but Weber, I could definitely see Weber, keeping it close first half, see what happens. Strong defense, so we'll see. That one's nothing you can just cross off the list, I don't think.
Perfect. And then, Mr. Dammer, are we saving your picks for the Big Dam preview, or are you giving them live on shows this year?
I mean, I guess I could go now. I wasn't prepared for it, but
it's your piece
from the hip.
You need to prep for this one, Dallas. You sure?
Yeah, I mean, this is a battle of titans here. I mean, come on, it's Utah. I'm probably going to piss off maybe one person that listens to Weber State Weekly, but there's a chance for some FCS teams to beat an FBS team, but it's not going to happen in this game.
Okay, moving on to another wonderful FCS game. Hashtag fear the FCS, the most ridiculous hashtag ever. Eastern Washington on Thursday. Both those games last game was Thursday. This game's Thursday. Eastern Washington at UNLV. Mr. Boatman, I'm already disappointed in you. You didn't bring up the spread for University of Utah.
Can't find it. I've looked.
UNLV is 9.5 favorites over the Eastern Washington Eagles.
They are.
And I'm laying 16.5. I'll take the field almost every time FBS versus FCS, unless Idaho's playing and I let emotions get involved. Like 4 of them happen out of 118 a year, and they're usually wild ones like Portland State over Wazoo. Eastern over UNLV is always frisky. They always think it's going to happen, and it just doesn't. And I get that they hung close with Washington and stuff a couple of years ago, but let's be honest, Eastern doesn't seem to be like they were a couple of years ago. I'll take UNLV in this one by at least 17.
I'll take UNLV as well, but I wouldn't take them by 17. I have limited faith in UNLV. The quote unquote legendary Tate Martell is allegedly not suiting up this game for the Running Rebels. So Eastern Washington, they can put up points. They looked real good for a half against North Dakota State. Well, I'd pick North Dakota State over UNLV when we last saw Eastern in the playoffs. So UNLV wins, but Eastern looks respectable.
I should have prefaced, unless it's North Dakota State. They beat everybody. They're always – so there's 3 actual upsets, and then North Dakota State just beating the dumb team that scheduled them. Boatman?
God, I thought you guys were going to just choose Eastern. I was prepared to come in here. I don't know, man. 9.5 is the spread for UNLV favorite. I think that's a lot. Marcus Arroyo, second year there. First year as a coach, yeah, he was pretty sought after. Their AD just left, which I had sung her praises on this show prior. And look, I was right. She's now at Mizzou. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm just stalling because my head says UNLV, but my heart really weirdly says Eastern. I'm going to go Eastern. Screw it. Yeah, let's just change it up. He's got this one.
Alice?
Yeah, I mean, UNLV was.
I was going to have you grade all of our picks, Buck.
I'll jump in. UNLV was ass cheeks last year, and I don't think they're going to be a whole lot better. I'm actually going to take Eastern on this. I would take Eastern against the spread, and I'll take them straight out.
Yeah.
All right, Buck. Opinions on our picks?
I think the picks are fair. I mean, I think it's going to come down to the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be a pretty dang close game. So, I mean, you're split 2-2. So I think it's pretty fair. We'll see, but I fully expect it to be a really competitive, close game.
All right. Next up, we have NAU hosting the defending national champion, Sam Houston Bearcats. I mean, I'm not even going to waste time. Sam Houston.
Not going to waste time on picking Sam Houston over NAU, but redoing my pick, Eastern over UNLV.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. All
right. Chris is going to get an early lead.
All right, Bearcats, big.
Very, very, very big Bearcats.
Brent, opinions?
Say those are good picks. Good picks. I would say, Weber State was up there last year. I think NAU. Didn't NAU lose to Weber on a Hail Mary?
Yes.
At Weber.
Yeah. Weber had to throw a Hail Mary to win that game. Yeah.
We'll see, but yeah, I would say you guys are solid in your pick.
Yeah. Another one on Thursday.
Playing at elevation, we'll see.
Yeah, in a dome.
True.
UC Davis at Tulsa in lovely Tulsa, Oklahoma. Once again, UC Davis, I actually have as a dark horse team this year. Tulsa. I'm very boring, as you can tell. I'm FBS.
Chalk. You're all chalk.
Yeah. I'm sorry. They're D1. We're D2, damn it. Don't you know anything?
I'm not. Yeah, Davis is solid, but they didn't pass well enough in my mind to be a threat against an FBS team. And I just don't think that FCS teams, other than North Dakota State, can, out physical an FBS team. So Tulsa.
Tulsa was a really sneaky team in the American Conference in 2020. Watched a lot of the American Conference in 2020. Tulsa is actually probably better than people realize they are. Tulsa will win big.
Dallas?
Yeah, Tulsa won 2 top 25 games last year. They're gonna win huge.
They say those who live in glass houses shall not cast stones. If anyone got that, they play in the glass house. Trent, what's your opinion on the game?
Yeah, I would say your picks are fair. Somebody tell me the connection. Okay, why is UC Davis going to Tulsa? There has to be like an administration connection, like an AD, like knows the AD.
Why is
When was
Idaho
this
going to
schedule?
Indiana?
There's got
Yeah, like when was it scheduled? That's the real.
that's like a
True. Okay.
yeah.
Like what's
That's
like
yeah.
what's-
I mean, it's still a group 5.
Yeah, like what's Tulsa paying here? I get what you're saying, Trent. Like Tulsa's not paying like $800,000 for Davis to fly out to Oklahoma. I get what you're saying. When was it scheduled? Who did it? And what are they actually paying him? So fair point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Next,
Because when
next,
we play group 5, it's Mountain West.
Yeah, right. Like
So
we're
it's
playing
just
Wyoming, Nevada.
Group 5.
Yeah, totally.
yeah. Moving on to on Friday night we have the Colorado Showdown this time. Northern Colorado and the Fight McCaffreys take on the University of Colorado at Boulder, the Buffs. FBS, I'll take a Power 5 team against a bottom-dwelling Pac-12 or Big Sky team like every day of the week.
Picking Colorado. Slightly intrigued to see how some of the transfers look, but really not worried about Northern Colorado pulling an upset. So Buffs.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Brian on this. It's more of like I'm gonna choose the Buffs here, but I'm kind of intrigued, right? So this game could get a little weird. Northern Colorado, one of the teams to opt out in the spring, so we did not see them. How's Ed McCaffrey got them going? Do their transfers looking good? And Colorado is playing a true freshman quarterback, if I remember right, because their other guy like blew his knee out in fall camp. So like, don't be surprised if this game could get weirdly weird. No, it's kind of a double pot negative there or whatever. But I still think the Buffs are going to win, but I don't know. This game just strikes me as something weird could happen.
Yeah, it's weird with McCaffrey. We don't really know what we're going to see out of this. It was again kind of that weird left field hire, and who knows? They could come out in the wishbone and make this a hell of a game. But realistically, Colorado's going to win.
Yeah,
Buck.
Good picks, and this game makes sense. Both in the state of Colorado. So solid picks. I am intrigued about McCaffrey. That's definitely a storyline there.
Yeah. Next up, the hated Southern California FCS rivals, Cal Poly at San Diego. San Diego used to be a playoff power. They're really not anymore. I actually think Cal Poly, they're ahead of them in the Sagarin rankings. I actually think they get a win early, and then maybe like everyone's like, "Oh my God, Bo Baldwin's actually done it," and then they finish the year 1-10.
This to me is the toughest game to pick that we have. We did see it last in 2019. San Diego should have beaten UC Davis, and Cal Poly in the spring was the worst football game team any of us will ever see. But I have to think that, I don't know, like maybe something's happened with Bo Baldwin. Maybe there's a little bit of a turnaround. So I'm going to say Cal Poly. But the moment we log off, I'm going to say I should have picked San Diego, but still, Cal Poly.
I'm going with the Toreros. They've been to the playoffs a few years. It's the same coach, same coaching staff. They have a good program there, like just solid program. They went 4-2 in the spring with a loss by 6 to Davidson, which is actually a really good team in the Pioneer last year. And then also a point to Valpo at the end of the year. Kind of a weird game. I have more faith, I guess, in San Diego than I do in Cal Poly. So, Toreros.
Completely agree. San Diego played competitive games all year last spring, I guess, and we haven't seen that out of Cal Poly. And I love Bo Baldwin. You guys know I love Bo Baldwin more than most of my family, it seems, at this point. But it's San Diego.
All righty. Buck?
Yeah, I think that's a good analysis. I think what Brian said, probably the hardest to pick. You got the Pioneer League, which obviously non-scholarship, but San Diego's been very good, but they're not what they were necessarily. And then you got Cal Poly, spring season. So it's interesting. I would say, toss up for sure.
Yeah, I'm just going to leave it on this. I would not be surprised. The Pioneer is so down right now if St. Thomas comes in and wins it year 1 after jumping from D3 to the FCS. That's how little I think of the Pioneer League right now. Montana traveling to UW. Bowen already sees a smirk on his face. I'm taking it. I'm saying it all summer. I just don't think Jimmy Lake's the guy, and I would love nothing. And I Montana fans are some of the most obnoxious people ever, and this getting pulled off would just add so much fuel to that fire that it would be miserable all season, regardless of how they do in conference. They beat a top 20 Pac-12 school. I'll take it. Grizz.
Brian, go first here.
UW's going to win, but Montana's going to look respectable because Montana is much stronger on both sides of the line. Don't think they're going to have enough firepower to beat UW, but I don't think it's going to be like a 7-point game. But Montana's going to look solid for a while. UW's going to still win by a couple scores.
Okay, well, just so everyone knows on this podcast, I do hold a degree from Washington. I have followed them pretty well in 2019 and 2020. UW is just going to steamroll these guys. Chris, I'm sorry, but UW has actually rated the best O-line in the country. Okay, they have produced NFL draft picks at DB every year. They have a guy nicknamed ZTF. I don't want to say his full name because no one can. They just call him ZTF at linebacker, who's going to be a first or second day guy in the draft this year. Jimmy Lake's talent-wise at UW is an insane group. We don't if Montana is playing quarterback with Cam Humphreys, Idaho was going to beat Montana with Cam Humphreys. Imagine what Washington does.
I'm a noted Cam Humphreys denier. I think he stinks.
Exactly, right?
I still think he'll beat Washington.
Okay. See, that's where I think you're just completely insane. The amount of talent on Washington's insane. Washington won the Pac-12 North in the abbreviated fall season in the Pac-12. They didn't. It's just kind of a weird thing. They didn't play the Pac-12 title game. Oregon did, and then Oregon won the Pac-12. So really weird. Oregon was not Pac-12 North champions. Washington was. Dylan Morris is their quarterback at Washington. Actually had a pretty good year, better than Jake Locker, I think, in 2019. Not Jake Locker, Jesus. Jacob Eason in 2019. I don't think Jacob Eason was that good. Kind of just didn't really care. Dylan Morris, new OC, looked pretty good. They have a tight end in Cade Otton, who is probably going to be a day 1 or day 2 guy in the NFL draft this year. Washington's the most talented team, top to bottom, in the Pac-12. They're my pick to win the Pac-12 this year. I'm just being straight up with you. They're going to win 10 games. They're probably going to beat Michigan week 2. Honestly, Washington, you are disrespecting my dogs because my dogs this year are probably going to win the Pac-12. The Grizz are good, yeah, but I think they're just competing with NFL talent across the board on that team, and they're gonna win out unless they catch Washington sleeping in a whole sleeper spot because they have Michigan the next week in the big house. Unless they catch that, Washington's gonna kill them. I mean, also they're probably gonna play Sam Hubbard at quarterback because that guy is Brock. Oh, it's not Hubbard, Heward. That's Damon. It's Damon and Brock Heward's son and nephew, and he was a big time recruit. Out of the Pac-12 out of Washington this year. Ran over. Sorry, Chris, but Grizz are getting their shit kicked in by my dogs.
Buck?
Are you skipping Dallas?
Oh, sorry, Dallas. You just filibustered so long ago, man.
I know, yeah.
I'll take what he said.
The only thing I'll say is how many of those beverages have you consumed, Chris?
About 3/4.
Seems like about 10.
I've had this all summer. To be fair, Boatman and I have been going all summer about this. But really, to get some people pissed off here, Montana State versus Wyoming. Although I will say the fact that Brett Vegan was their offensive coordinator 6 months ago is a very intriguing concept. However, Wyoming's defensive staff also saw his offense for 7 seasons. So I think advantage Wyoming. Once again, I'd be willing to – I don't know what the spread is on this. I'd be willing to lay 16.5 Wyoming over Montana State. And I think Montana State's going to be good this year.
I think Montana State's going to lose, so Wyoming, but I think this will be a competitive game. Wyoming doesn't pass that well at all, or they don't really try to. Interesting thing for Montana State, Tucker Rovig was just named the captain, and Tucker Rovig had not been projected to start at quarterback. So maybe Matt McKay hasn't been as solid as we thought, or maybe this is just Montana State really likes and respects Tucker Rovig, and he'll lead from the sideline.
Travarius Jackson was a captain of the Seahawks for a while, even though Russell Wilson was quarterback. So
yeah, the picks Wyoming. It's a competitive game.
Wyoming's a really interesting team to me. They went 2-4 last year in their fall season, but they lost by 8 to Boise State, 1 to New Mexico, Nevada in overtime, which we saw Nevada was probably one of the darlings of the Mountain West last year. I'm just not that sold on Montana State, I think, yet. I think with a new coaching staff and a lot less time to prepare than normal with coaching turnover, I'm going to take Wyoming, but this game is it intrigues me. I think I guess I'm gonna go with Wyoming, but Montana State could make it a little weird.
I mean, Brent Vegan obviously knows Wyoming pretty well at this point, but I don't see Montana State having the horses to get it done. It's going to be pretty close. They're going to look competitive at times, but Wyoming's going to win it out.
Yeah, I think they're really similar teams. I think the biggest difference is one has 22 more scholarships than the other. So I think that's what I'll say.
Okay. Next up, Sac State at Dixie. Shocker here. I'm taking the Trailblazers. I think rest versus rust. We'll see it right here. Sac State, who I am low on. I think they'll figure it out later in the season. I just think they have so many things they got to figure out here. Dixie State sneaks up and gets them week 1.
I'm going to go Sac State, and I'm going to say I am jealous as hell that a school like Sac State gets to have someone like Dixie State on their out-of-conference schedule right now. But I have faith that Sacramento State's still going to be pretty good, and I don't yet want to give Dixie State too much credit as an independent. So Sacramento State.
I'm going to go with Chris here, Dixie State. I guess as of right now, we don't know who Sac State's quarterback is. I saw that recently was listed as an or on the depth chart. Dixie State, yeah, they knocked off some. They beat New Mexico State, right? Am I, or is that just Tarleton State? They lost to New Mexico. Wait,
but then
Dallas,
Tarleton State beat New Mexico State, but Dixie beat Tarleton State.
But did Dixie State lose to New Mexico State?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Revised pick, Sacramento State. New Mexico State is a garbage team, and I hate them. So,
yeah, I'd have to go with Sacramento State on this. I just don't. Dixie State's building a program. They're obviously just getting into the FCS and the WAC and moving. It's no, not a chance.
Buck.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. First game for Dixie State as a Division I team, so it'll be kind of interesting to see how they stack up against a Big Sky opponent. I think Sac State's, people have them, somewhere the preseason they were in the middle of the pack or somewhere around there. So, it'll be an interesting one.
Yeah. Next up, Portland State, and last, Portland State at Hawaii. Portland State's beaten Hawaii the last time they played them, which is wild to think about because I was more towards the heyday of Colt Brennan and everything, Hawaii, but a little before. And they beat Wazoo just recently, but I know Colter Nuanez probably thinks this is a crazy pick. I think Hawaii just got their teeth kicked in by UCLA. I think Hawaii kicks in Portland State's teeth.
Since we lost Brian, I guess I'll go. Rest versus rust, right? Portland State. They only played Montana in a spring exhibition. Hawaii's already played a game, so give me the team that's already played a game. Plus, guys, Aloha Stadium's dead. It's gone. They are playing on their temporary campus field that seats 10,000 people. It's smaller than the Kibbe Dome. Yes, a D1 team an FBS team is playing the same, smaller than the Kibbe Dome. Relegate them to the FCS automatically, like they wanted to do for us for years. Also, Portland State's going to get island bitten. Everyone does. They're going to their first game and since 2019 is on the island. Come on now, that's recipe for disaster.
I'm going to read off Brian's pick as he's gone. Picking Hawaii to beat Portland State worse than COVID-19 is beating Florida. That is his observation. I don't know if it's going to be quite that bad, but Boat's right. The first game in essentially 2 years, you're doing it on the road against Hawaii's not great, but they're certainly better than Portland State.
All right, so Buck.
Yeah, I think Hawaii might take some frustration out, from their game against UCLA out on Portland State. But I know some people that are high on Portland State. They're right in my backyard, so that'll be a kind of interesting one to see how it plays out and kind of be able to see what Portland State's all about.
Yeah. One last very, very, very important game for us to talk about here. It's the starting of a 3-game lose streak. Anybody got Boise State going into the bounce house and losing? Because I effing don't.
Oh,
Go Knights.
They're gonna lose. Yeah,
Big.
5.5's the line.
Smash it.
I mean, Dylan Gabriel is just gonna tear Boise State apart.
Yeah.
If obviously I can't bet anymore. But if I was a betting man, Boise State win total under. Lock it in before Thursday night, folks.
What is the win total? 9?
They have 8. I think they're 8.5.
Ooh, see, I'm floating them at 8. But
they play BYU, they play Oklahoma State, and they play UCF.
Yeah,
and 3
and Tulsa, right?
No, they don't have Tulsa, but I mean they always lose to like a Mountain West team here or there. Nevada's good, Air Force is good. Just saying. I'm just saying. Like I can count 3 probably losses on their schedule.
I'll smash.
Do with it as you will.
Hammer down. Dallas, anything you want to take away from the show?
I wanted to throw my prediction in for SFU. Chris, this one's going to make you cringe. 31-17. I just don't feel, until I see it, I don't see Idaho's offense blowing out anybody. It's just, I get nervous watching Beaudry miss guys that are 5 feet in front of him. He's got a rocket for an arm, which is fantastic, but until we see it happen, I can't predict Idaho to score over 40.
Okay. Well, I hope you're wrong.
Trust me, I hope I'm wrong too.
Closing the bar. I guess that's it. We'll be live on Tuesdays, probably a little bit earlier. We're playing with the time a little bit this year. All of our schedules have kind of tinkered around, but
that's on me. That's on me.
Yeah.
It's a little late out here on the East
Coast. Somebody's in Mountain Time now. Who knows? Some weird stuff like that. But we want to thank Buck Cowan for coming on with us. Buck, thank you very much. If you want, take a little bit of time, let the people know what you're up to, what you're doing, and how they can find and interact with you.
Yeah. Gosh, I don't even know my Twitter handle. I think it's like Trent Cowan 13. I'm on Twitter, but yeah, I'm super excited. I'm a huge Vandal fan. My whole family went to the University of Idaho. Brother, sister, parents, aunt, uncle, cousins, grandparents. You'd be hard pressed to find a family that has more Vandals in it. So this is just a dream come true to be able to go to every single Vandal game, home and away, and to be a part of the radio broadcast. Super excited to be alongside Chris King. I actually had the pleasure of meeting him in Portland, and super nice guy, really bright, knows his stuff. So I'll be able to learn from him, somebody that's a little bit newer to it. But just want to thank, him and Desmond. This wouldn't be possible without Desmond Banks' help. My sister-in-law's family is helping me out as well in Spokane for some traveling. Had to get a little logistically wise, had to get creative with it to keep it within the budget. Normally it's somebody that's in the area that does this. So, me being in just outside of Portland, had to get creative with it. So really just want to thank my family, Desmond, my sister-in-law's family, just University of Idaho, Chris, Dennis Patchen, Ryan Phillips, who did an amazing job for 6 years. Literally huge shoes to fill. So I'm really excited for this season. Really, really excited to be a part of some Vandal victories.
Who wins in a fight, you or Chris Phillips?
Ryan Phillips.
Ryan Phillips. Sorry, yeah.
If I was a betting man, I would hammer Ryan Phillips for sure. He's a big fellow. He's impressive.
Hey, RIP to the Cowan Spectrum.
Yes. But I'm very excited to see the new arena. Hopefully, I'll be able to maybe sneak in and take a peek. I've heard great things, so really excited.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank you for coming on, like we said, and most importantly, everybody, turn on the radio. If you're like me, you're not going to be there. You're going to be up in the mountains. You should be able to get those rabbit ears somewhere. You can get the call. If you're in the game, you're excused. Otherwise, tune in and listen to this guy and Chris King, or should I say Ryan King, call the game this weekend because new crew. This This is your Dennis Patchen duo here in just a couple years. So welcome to the new voice of the Vandals. Get accustomed to it now. And someday you look back and be like, I remember when I listened to his first game against those Canadians. But
hey, I have a question, Chris. So, or for Trent too, are there separate ESPN Plus announcers? Or are they just using you guys, Trent, as the voices?
Broadcast, right? I think that was confirmed.
Yeah, it's just radio. I believe they'll have the ESPN broadcasters. They said if there was a crunch that they could use the radio audio for ESPN Plus, but from what I know, with a grain of salt, they'll have somebody, the audio and broadcasting. It'll be separate from us for the ESPN broadcast.
Oh, well then listen to it on the radio, dang it.
Listen to the radio, put it on your TV.
Yeah.
Mute the TV, mute the guys, listen to us.
Yeah, who wants to listen to a bunch of guys that played at LSU and NC State talk about Idaho and Simon Fraser? Exactly. You want to listen to Buck Cowan and Chris King, damn it. And with that, it's not the best band in all the land that plays out today. It's Colby Cuff, Vandal musician on the up. So give him a look if you're in Sandpoint Fest. See you guys in the next one.
Go Vandals.
Go Vandals.
Go Vandals.
Go watch Ronaldo highlights.
So raise your glass and have a drink with me. Here's to